Well, welcome to our second Brighter Together virtual event. My name is Shayna Shalou, and I help plan events for the Alumni Development Office here at Lawrence University. Lawrence University is celebrating its 175th anniversary in 2022, honoring a history of brilliance in the liberal arts and sciences, pointing towards a future bright with possibilities. In her first matriculation convocation address, President Laurie Carter called on all Laurentians to embrace tradition and find comfort in discomfort as we prepare for the challenges and changes on the horizon for higher education. She introduced a framework to prepare for the future built on collaboration, anchored by 5 overarching institutional priorities. They include strategic, equitable student success, brand awareness, reputation, and elevation, diversity, equity, inclusion, and anti-racism, enhanced and integrated university experiences, and strategic financial stewardship. The Brighter Together virtual series with President Carter will introduce these priorities and the university leadership illuminating our shared path going forward. Today's webinar will feature 4 people who are helping create a campus where we can all shine brighter together. This event specifically focuses on our student support. And our panelists include President Laurie Carter, who joined the Lawrence community in July of 2021. Ken Anselment, our Vice President for Enrollment and Communication. Dr. Ashley Lewis, our new Associate Vice President of Enrollment, concentrating on student retention and persistence. Dr. Manata Mohammedan Gray, Class 92, Dean of Academic Success. And Cal Husmann, our Vice President for Alumni and Development. So with that, I want to thank you all for your willingness to participate in this webinar. And attendees, feel free to submit your questions in the Q&A function and keep your questions to tonight's topic of student support. I'll be monitoring the chat as well, and we can have some time to answer these questions at the end of the presentation. So I'm going to toss it over to President Carter. Could you please start by describing the framework and the institutional priorities, and then maybe talk a little bit about some of the shifts that have been happening since even our last Brighter Together event in January.
Shayna, thank you so much for that great introduction. And I am so thrilled to be joined by my colleagues tonight who are doing such important work at the university. And for those of you who joined us for the last Brighter Together webinar, you know that a lot of really wonderful work is happening at Lawrence. And it's been happening for a long time, and my colleagues are going to join me in talking about that. But let me just talk very briefly about the framework, the work that is ongoing. This fall, we looked at where Lawrence is and where the higher ed landscape is in relation to all of the changes that have taken place because of the pandemic, but even the changes that were taking place before the pandemic. And we said, although we have a strategic plan that ends at the end of the 2022 academic year, calendar year, I'm sorry, we wanted to make sure that we spent this year focused, laser focused on some initiatives that would really allow us to position ourselves well, continue the good work that's been going on at Lawrence, and prepare us for the work that's ahead with the strategic planning process. And so the strategic equitable student success is really a key to everything that we're doing at Lawrence. As you know, we are a very student-focused institution. We are here to ensure that our students receive an exceptionally high quality education, but also that they go on and graduate and have a life after Lawrence that is really indicative of the lives that you all lead as Laurentians and as our alumni. So the folks that are with me today are really playing a pivotal role in that process. And as you see, it's not just the folks who are hands-on with the students. It's the folks who are involved in the big strategic planning of this process. And equally as important, if not more important sometimes, are our development colleagues who play a key role in how we are able to move our agendas forward so that we can really support our students in the ways that they need. So instead of me just going on and talking about how excited I am, I want my colleagues to talk with you a little bit about the work that they are doing and how their work is transforming the educational experience for our current students at the university. Many of you may know Monica as an alumna of Lawrence University, but I can tell you that this is a Laurentian who is digging into the history and the future of this university and transforming it through her work with students. So I'm just going to start by asking Monica to describe the work that she is doing, the area of the body of work that she has created for us, and how she is really leading at this critical time in higher education. Monica, please share with our alumni the work that you're doing.
Good evening, everyone. I'm hoping that some of my, colleagues are out there, my classmates and students that I have recruited in the past. I've got a long history with Lawrence, but currently, and for the last 6 years, I have been fortunate to lead the Center for Academic Success as Lawrence's first Dean of Academic Success. And when I was a student, these services hardly existed and they were not in any sort of structured form. We really relied a lot on each other. And so now Lawrence has this incredible structure. We have over 200 students who are tutoring in terms of content, in terms of writing, in terms of providing peer support. And that is an incredible number. I think the number I had today was 225. So that means 225 students have stepped up, been nominated by their faculty to support other students, particularly in their academic endeavors. That's a phenomenal number. And if you ask those students, they will also say that they take advantage of tutoring as well. So they may excel in one area, may feel like they need some support in another area, or just feel like they need a little push to excel further. So there are many ways that our students use tutoring services. We have this incredible new space in the library on the second floor. And again, for my alumni friends, the library looks completely different now, transformed. We have a large area for tutoring, which is a vast improvement over no space previously. So tutoring was happening all over campuses, not in an organized way. Now we have this great space. Students are there every day. Every time I walk through, there are students that are engaged at their tables. They're sitting, studying really hard. I can tell how hard they're working. They're coming into our space. They're working with our staff. I have 7 people on my team. We are all specialists, but we all have these generalist skills where we can support any student. So in theory, a student can come into the space and find somebody that they connect with and continue to build that relationship so they know they have somebody who's in their corner when they're having a tough time. But some of the services we offer are academic counseling, which is a highlight of what we do and something very distinct about the work that we do. These academic counselors work with students on focus, on motivation, really getting a handle on what's going on in their lives. I think one of our general approaches is that when a student presents with an academic issue, it is often complex, complicated by the things that are going on in their lives. And it could be that something is going on at home, something going on with a roommate, another relationship they have on campus. It could be that they have some health issues of their own. I mean, there are things that come out in these conversations that really make a difference in how we work with the students as we figure out a plan to help them move forward, or just talking them through, here are some steps to take. Here are some ideas. Where are your values and how are they aligning right now? How are you taking care of yourself day to day? I mean, these are very critical questions that we are asking our students in these meetings that we have with them. We also provide an incredible amount of support for academic skills. So we're talking about critical reading, critical writing skills, goal setting, time management, you name it. I mean, so many of our students are coming in, even those students who felt like their time management skills were on their game. They felt like they were really, they knew how to do this. And right now, especially with the pandemic, some students are really kind of falling apart in that way. And we're here to just kind of prop them up, ask them the questions, what worked before, what's challenging you now, and help get them on that path. We also house accessibility services in our area. So students with a diagnosed disability or those who suspect that there might be something that has challenged them particularly, we will support them. We'll work with them to try to put some accommodations in place to make sure that they have equal access to their educational experience here. We also have testing spaces, which, I mean, again, is like a massive improvement over where we were before. We only had a few spaces, but now we've got a variety of testing spaces for our students to meet their specific learning need in a testing environment. We also support students who are multi-language learners who need support with academic English. That is a particular need of our domestic students and our international student population. And we have a particular expert on campus who works diligently with these students. She works with them in course settings, she works with them in group settings and one-on-one. She is a tireless human being. I'm so grateful for her work with our students. One of the things that I do with students is help them, you know, kind of navigate the complicated environment of our academic procedures and making sure that they understand what their options are, to walk them through the particular processes that might work best for them and make sure that they get through that so that it, you know, whatever kind of stress is coming up academically can be alleviated by some of these particular procedures. The final thing that I wanted to highlight about the work that we do are some of the courses that we teach. Many of us are active in the classroom, and there is a particular course that our students absolutely love. It's UNIC 117, and it's Cognitive and Affective Theories in Practice. And some people, you know it as maybe a study skills class, but it is absolutely not that. It really is focused on the theoretical concepts around learning and well-being and helping students understand themselves better so they can prepare to be better students and then better after Lawrence. We also have other courses that we're teaching perpetually. I get to teach one with Ken, actually, and a couple of other colleagues called Designing Your Life After Lawrence. So we're really trying to think about how to engage the students that will support the work now and support them later. That's the key feature of how we are developing courses in our area. It's great fun. I mean, it's challenging work, I have to say, but really it's very rewarding work to see our students succeed and to transform.
And you hit the nail on the head, Monica. It really is about our students transforming their lives so they can leave Lawrence and be prepared to lead in society and the world and continue to do the work that our alumni have done for such a long time. So thank you for the work that you're doing. And I am so pleased to tell you that Monica has a partner in this work. Dr. Ashley Lewis joined us this fall, and Ashley is really working on the data side to support the work that Monica and her team are doing so that our students have an environment that will allow them to succeed. Ashley, do you want to talk a little bit about your work and how that intersects with Monica?
Absolutely. Thank you so much for that question, President Carter. Good evening, everyone. It is such a pleasure to be here. And I'd also like to take this moment to recognize my colleagues for all of the wonderful work that they've been doing. It has been a very insightful and a very just amazing 4 months here at Lawrence. And I'm just so pleased to be able to join the team and join in the awesome work that is being done. I am currently working on building those strong partnerships with our various on-campus offices that work to support students, one of them being the Center for Academic Success. And I will be working very closely with Monica and supporting the amazing work that she and her team are doing there by really focusing on the data and using the data to lead us and help us to make informed decisions about how we support students. Additionally, I'm focusing on aggregating that data so that we can hone in on populations who might be in need of more specialized support. For example, our first year students might be encountering different academic challenges than our first generation students or our international student population. So again, just using data, population analytics, trying to have or serve students proactively as opposed to reactively. So predicting or looking for areas that we can anticipate where students might need support, and providing that support to them before things, sort of spiral into a more difficult place. Additionally, I'm working with Monica on our early alert system, which she masterfully manages with our Dean of Students, and just making sure that students are being served timely, making sure that we are providing spot-on interventions so that students can continue to meet their academic goals, and of course, make sure that they are on a clear path to graduation. Additionally, I'll be working with our advising committee to really reform the structure of advising at Lawrence to make sure that students are being equitably served and that we are creating very strong matches between advisors and advisees. And again, just providing a just another layer of support to our students. I'm also working with some of our faculty and staff at Lawrence to really take a look at our new student orientation and the way that we equip students for this experience, and making sure that they feel confident, that they feel competent, and that in the event that they have challenges and are in need of support, that they are not hesitant to reach out and ask, and they know exactly who to go to. I'll also be working with Monica to make sure that we create a coordinated care team so that, again, when students are struggling, they know, again, exactly who to go to, and information regarding who is working with which student and what types of interventions and support are being provided on any part of campus. That information is available to those who need to be in the know. And again, we can use all of that information to really inform the support that we are offering our students. So there are a lot of wonderful things that are at work, a lot of just amazing things that are being explored. And I look forward to working with Monica and working with admissions and some of our on-campus stakeholders to just really strengthen the way that we're supporting our students and helping to or contributing to make sure that Lawrence continues to be the institution of excellence that I found it to be upon my arrival. Thank you for that question.
Thank you, Ashley. And so that is how retention works. But retention really begins even before students arrive at Lawrence. So in order for students to be able to come to Lawrence and engage in all of the wonderful academic programs and experiences they have, they must first be admitted. And Ashley reports directly to Ken Anselment, who has so wonderfully led our enrollment management process for many years. Ken has done a terrific job at recruiting the classes that are coming in, really taking full advantage of the educational experiences, being supported by Monica and her team, and then graduating and going out into the world and serving the world as all Laurentians do very well. So Ken, talk with us a little bit about how recruitment and retention play such an important role in how the student really transforms themselves through the Lawrence experience.
Thank you, President Carter. It starts, let's start with the recruitment part of things. And, sometimes it might be helpful for folks. I've found that it's helpful for folks to hear a little bit about what we're looking for when we're recruiting students, and maybe even how a student gets admitted. Not like I'm going to pull the curtain back and we're going to walk through an admission committee here, but a bunch of years ago, we started doing recording some data points at the point of admission that helped us really be able to determine what sorts of students would be ready to thrive at Lawrence. And we realize that we've got students who have come from so many different academic backgrounds, so many different socioeconomic backgrounds, so many different parts of the globe. I mean, just to set the frame for this, we've got students from nearly every state and several dozen countries around the world here. And Monica and I Monica started in the admissions office back in the day, right around the time I started 18 years ago, when we were selecting students. But one of the pieces that we found that was highly correlative with student success was something called, we used to call it academic motivation. Now we're calling it academic rank, because motivation speaks a little bit about what sort of behavior students are engaging in. And what we really wanted to see was how well students were getting themselves ready for Lawrence based on the environment that they were in. So we look at courses in English, math, language, natural science, and social science, because they're going to be taking those courses to some degree once they get here. And how they've done in those helps us to be able to predict how they're going to do. Turns out the admission staff is exceptionally good at identifying students who have pushed themselves within their areas of strength. So we score students actually on a scale of 1 to 5. And we did some research, and it turns out that the students who are 3 and above tend to be students who persist at Lawrence to a very high degree. And when we're talking about retention, persistence, and graduation, President Carter we were talking about this last summer, which is really trying to expand our vocabulary to describe the Lawrence student experience once they get here. So we want to make sure that the students we're admitting are certainly retaining to their second year, but if we're really doing our job, we're admitting graduates to the institution. And so we're going to look at the types of courses they've taken, how well they've challenged themselves, how well they've done. We're going to look at test scores if they submit them, but many of you may be aware that back in 2005, Lawrence was one of the first selective colleges in the Midwest to go test optional. Other colleges thought that was a pretty cool idea recently and caught on, but Lawrence was one of the first to do this in our part of the world. You may have seen that over the course of the pandemic, I think about 1,700 colleges have now become test optional. We don't need an SAT or an ACT to determine if a student can be successful. It can certainly be helpful, but we know what we need to know based on the courses that they're taking. We look at their extracurricular activities, not because we want to make sure we've got everybody who's been student body president or captain of the basketball team, but students who have been engaged in school activities, and that includes work, tend to be students, and this is not just a Lawrence phenomenon, this is everywhere. If they've been engaged in life outside the classroom, they tend to be successful once they get to the institution because they have handholds outside their classroom to latch onto. It may be community building through a sports team or through a music ensemble or through college Republicans or college Democrats or whatever. But the more affinity groups that students can be a part of, the greater the likelihood are that they're going to persist at the institution. So we're looking at all of these sorts of things. As well as how well they write, because anybody who graduated from Lawrence who's on here knows how much writing you're going to do once you're here. And we don't expect people to be perfect, but we do expect folks to have a certain level of readiness to be able to handle the rigors of first-year studies that they're going to start taking right from the get-go. But the wonderful thing is, over the time that I have been here, I have seen Lawrence devote more resources to student success in every passing year. When Monica came on board, Monica, how many years ago was it? Was it 5 years ago that you became 6? Okay. When admissions is making decisions, we want to know that we're handing them off to folks who are going to take good care of them. We know that our athletic coaches do an awesome job with that. We know that our studio heads in the conservatory do a great job with that. But a lot of our students don't necessarily have that ready community to drop into. But when Monica and her team came on board, we knew we had a new resource that could help proactively work with students. And it gave us even greater confidence with the students that we were admitting. We're not looking for, we used to say around here, we're not looking for the academically perfect at Lawrence. What we're looking for is the intellectually and the artistically engaged. Those are the students that are going to do really well here. And students who are ready to take advantage of all of the opportunities that a place, despite our size, we offer out, I think, disproportionately rich opportunities for our students to really explore their full academic selves, their full athletic selves, their full artistic selves. And you know, for me as the chief admission officer and chief enrollment officer, we have even greater confidence that we have the support network for our students to be successful. And students are coming to college. I'm sure you're reading things or seeing things on the internet or on television. Students are coming to college, not just at Lawrence, but around the country, with a lot less gas left in the tank, maybe than they were even 10 years ago, because of the pandemic, to be sure, but just emotional issues and mental wellness issues tend to be more in the forefront for a lot of our students as they're getting through their high school careers. And so, we want to make sure that the students that we're admitting, we're going to be able to serve well once they get here. Good news is that the academic profile of Laurentians has been steady, if not even getting better over the time. One of the great points of pride, I think, for any graduate of an institution is for them to say, I could never get into that college today. I wouldn't say that's the case for all of you who are on here. I know that you're all exceptionally bright, but this is a place that still asks much of its students, and we want to make sure that they've got the chops to be able to be successful here. I'm also thrilled, finally, that we have someone like Dr. Lewis on our team. For a long time at Lawrence, we had been saying, well, retention is everybody's business. But when it's everybody's business, it becomes nobody's single business. And now that Dr. Lewis is here, we have somebody who is really that glue, I think, that's going to really pull things together for us. So Ashley, I've told you this every other time, but I'll just say it publicly again. I'm just super jazzed that you're here.
Thank you, Ken. The enrollment management process is a huge part of how Lawrence functions, and we're so blessed, really, to have Ken at the helm of that operation. So Ken, thank you for all of your work. But before students are admitted, before they're retained, they have to know that they can actually afford higher education. And I have to tell you, I have been so impressed by our phenomenal development team and the work that they're doing and the support they give to students in so many ways. But the Full Speed to Full Need campaign, something that was really part of the last capital campaign of the institution, has been transformative. And if you do not know Cal Husmann, you should. He is not just a great fundraiser. He is a phenomenal human being. So Cal, I want you to talk with us a little bit about how Full Speed to Full Need is transforming Lawrence.
Thank you, Lori. Happy to. Before I do, I just want to make sure everybody sees my new coffee mug, which is available online. I just got it. I love this. I can drink, it will last me an hour, and it keeps the coffee warm the entire time, and it helps celebrate the 175th anniversary of Lawrence University. So if you haven't gotten your coffee mug yet, or there's other merch out there, please think about it. It's wonderful. So maybe I could just go back to the beginning of Full Speed to Full Need, which was launched by an anonymous family who wanted to do something that would be a game changer for Lawrence. And they issued a $25 million challenge to the Lawrence community. And at the time, we thought it might take about 5 years to raise those funds based on what we've raised historically. And I've never seen anything like it in the way in which the Lawrence community rallied around a key strategic priority. And in 15 months, we raised $25 million for Full Speed to Full Need for scholarship support. The anonymous family said, okay, that's great. Here's another 5 to go raise $10 million. And you have 11 months to do it. And you mentioned our development team. They're fantastic, Lori. Our alumni, our donor base are passionate about this, about supporting our students at the foundation. If you think about the financial, the way in which our students come with different financial need, some come with much greater need, and they were taking on more debt than they probably should have, working more hours, having more financial need, and then maybe not being able to participate fully as a Laurentian. And so the way I look at this, and the way a lot of other donors have looked at this is a way to level the playing field. And over the years, as we've raised over $94 million since we started this journey, The debt load of our graduating seniors has gone down significantly by about $6,000 per student per graduate. This is going against the trend in higher, like across the board, where debt is going up. And the last figure, the national average was $33,000 per student. At Lawrence, it's dropped to $29,000 per student, and we want it to drop even further. But for me, the number of students being gapped has gone down. The amount of gap has gone down, and these data points about student debt, I think, really tells a story about how impactful this investment, this philanthropic investment from the Lawrence community in our students has been. So it really inspires me. I know it inspires our team. It inspires the community as well to see that kind of an impact on our students.
Cal, just a fun fact, in the last 3 weeks alone, I have had 3 colleges who have, my counterparts at 3 colleges who will remain nameless, have reached out to me to ask how we did it. Because they want to do it themselves, not for the competitive advantage, but because they know it's the right thing to do for their students. And what are some of the things that we learned along the way? And Lawrence has been recognized as a leader in this, and it's really going against the grain. I mean, there weren't a whole lot of colleges that were doing something like this, and the fact that our alumni got into this is full force, in such a full forced fashion, has been a game changer, I know, on the front end for us in the recruitment part too. So I don't always get in front of groups and thank you for this, but from all of us who are working with students on the front end, on the retention side, thank you, thank you, thank you. This has been a game changer for us, and more importantly, for our students.
It truly has. And as I said in my intro to Cal, his leadership of that team has been tremendous, and we are so grateful. And I know our students are grateful for all of the work that you do. And I have to say, and I feel like Cal has really had an impact on me. It's not enough. Right? So there is more work to be done. We still have more needy students, and Cal and his team are still working hard to make sure that any student who is really a good fit for a Lawrence education can take full advantage of everything that Lawrence has to offer them. So we started with Monica talking a little bit about what her center and her team have been doing for our students. But Monica, through the pandemic, the work that you were doing changed a little. Can you talk with us a little about how the pandemic has impacted your work, and what you really foresee in our future based on the impact of the pandemic?
I think, when we shifted in spring of between winter and spring of 2020 for us, because we had a term shift as we were pivoting. So this was a very interesting time. This is no surprise to anybody who's been following news or has students. The online learning was a big challenge to our students. And I think because it showcased what kind of different experiences our students had wherever they were, whether they were on campus in their residence halls, whether they were at home, whether they were sharing resources at home, whether they had, lots of things going on behind them while they are trying to be focused on class, trying to learn, trying to contribute. And I think that just raise the awareness of, the diversity of students we truly have here, and understanding that those backgrounds are very important to how they contribute in our classrooms. We have had a particular focus for years now, but I think even more so, we've made some strides in our inclusive pedagogy work, and how we are teaching our students in the classroom, how we are thinking about the opportunities they are given or don't get because they don't know how to ask for these things. So we are thinking very actively about how to serve our students equitably. The challenges are significant. I mean, the mental health shifts that we have seen with our students it's stunning. And it presents itself in all sorts of ways, and we just have to be prepared and kind of in front of it if we can. So when we hear about a student struggling, we are trying to actively figure out a way to work with them and to connect them with maybe some people who are more familiar so that they can open up and share what's going on with their situations. And I think, you know, with COVID in particular, I mean, our students have been affected like everybody else with family members themselves, and how it takes a toll on them really does matter. So when we are thinking about the whole student, we really are thinking about the whole student and all of the people that are around them and support them and help take care of them and sometimes can't, and how they are contributing to their home environments from here. So, I mean, it is not, I mean, when I was a student, it was like a bubble. I mean, we really were, it was just us. And now it really is the world around them. And so that has been a particular challenge for our students. I think because there has been lots of flexibility. So getting back to more of that structured, deadline focused, you know, contributions in the classroom, making sure that they are on their game it's just a little bit more, we're needing more time to kind of get everybody on track. You know, our students came from all sorts of different learning environments, especially those who've come in the last 2 years because of the way their school districts pivoted. And so trying to get them all on the same page about the kind of experience that we have here, it's challenging, but they are doing it. They're doing it and they want to do this. They are really hard workers. I think that's one thing that our students share as a characteristic is they are some of the hardest working students I have ever met. And I'm really proud of the, you know, things that they overcome. And we try to work with them where they are, and they are in all sorts of places. So I think, I mean, we realize that the depth of the student need is more significant, and we are actively trying to figure out how to meet those needs and make sure that they feel supported so they can do their job to study and to grow.
And I think that's so important because that is their job. When you are in college, it is your job to do well and to be able to gather all of the skills that you need to go on and achieve your goals. So Monica, thank you. I get very excited, as you can tell, about the work that's being done on campus, but I know we are running out of time and you probably have a lot of questions. But I'm going to ask each of my colleagues for one final thought tonight before we turn things over to you. So I am first going to go to Cal, and then we'll go to Ken, Ashley, and we will end with Monica.
So in addition to supporting our students with financial aid, it's been really moving to see the many other ways in which our donors have been investing in our students, whether that's through the Career Center providing scholarship funds, I'm sorry, internship funds that students can take unpaid internships and have some compensation for that. We recently launched a new program, mostly in the Milwaukee area, for students that want to do internships in social and environmental justice programs. It's an exciting new program where there's a cohort model. I think we had 12 the first year. They meet every week, so they're not alone. They won't feel alone. But it's just one example of one of the many ways in which our community is investing in our students to help our students have more equitable experiences as well. So I'm really excited about that. You know, we're taking a holistic approach. And, you know, my role as chief fundraiser for the college, it's great to be able to partner with colleagues and to see our donor base respond so generously to them.
Thank you, Cal. Ken.
Final thought for me, one of the things I know that I would like to share is this work that a whole bunch of us across campus are working on really for the first time in the history of Lawrence, is the SEAM team work, the Strategic Equitable Enrollment Management Team. And that equitable part is often missing from colleges when they talk about strategic enrollment management, which really just kind of looks at numbers of students and how much revenue you've got and who's graduating and what graduation rates are. What we're really talking about is making sure that every single student that enrolls at Lawrence has an equal shot at graduation. And that means that students who are first gen, students who are wherever they are on the socioeconomic spectrum, whatever their background is, if we're offering them admission, we're giving them the resources and the support that they're going to need to be able to make it to graduation and join all of you as Lawrence alumni. This is one of the most exciting developments I've been a part of in my time at Lawrence. This is a time where we have had people who for a long time have been talking about things we wish we could do are finally coming together from every division of the institution to bring forth the best ideas that we've got on how we can remove the barriers to student persistence and also accelerate those things and strengthen those things that accelerate student persistence to graduation. Some of them are policies that have been around for a very long time that I know Monica has spent a lot of her energy whacking away at with our registrar and our faculty colleagues, really to make things easier for students to navigate. But with Ashley on board, we've got folks in athletics, folks in the conservatory, folks in student affairs, really coming together around this student-centered approach to student success. That is, at least in my opinion, it's one of the many times, but one of the times I've been directly involved with just seeing Lawrence at its very best. It makes me enormously proud, and I'm grateful to President Carter for asking me to head up this initiative with the team. It's really exciting to see the community come together like this, and we'll be delivering a plan to President Carter in April. The clock is ticking, but we're excited with the work that we've been doing so far because it really will change in some profound ways, I think, the experience for our students here. So that's one thought with about 15 related thoughts to it. But President Carter, I'm sure you've come to expect that from me by now.
But it was a really important point. The work of the SEAM team is going to be transformative for the university, and your leadership there. And I have to really give Ken credit for the work that he's done pulling people together in this process. He has a faculty colleague and even a trustee colleague who are working with him on the leadership of that group. And that is extraordinary. I think it's unique to Lawrence, and it speaks volumes about Ken's leadership. So Ken, thank you for those efforts. And Ashley, closing thoughts.
Yes, thank you, President Carter. So I have to copy Ken because I do have a final thought, but I must say, one of the reasons why I'm so excited about this partnership between Monica and I is that we are literally in sync. As she was answering that last question, she said everything that I would have said. And I think that together we're going to do very powerful work. So I just had to point that out. I'd also like to share as my final thought, my background is in social scientific research, and I work with data, qualitative data, quantitative data, and I am an ethnographer by trade, and that is proven to be very useful in this role as I get to learn the landscape of Lawrence. Ethnographers, we interview, we speak to people, we listen, and I was privileged to have such a delightful conversation with an alumna yesterday, Dr. Rashne Jahangir, who graduated in 1993. And I see, yes, Monica, she spoke so highly of you. And she was actually an international student from Mumbai. And she just beamed with pride about her experience at Lawrence. She spoke of how engaged she was able to be, how she was able to find her center and find herself just by exploring a number of different activities. And what really sort of brought things home for me is when she called Lawrence her American home. And I thought, what wonderful support she must have received in order to, consider Lawrence such a place of comfort and familiarity, and just to really, it was evident how great, she feels about the institution and about the experience that she had here as a student. And, what I will be working on in partnership with Monica and others is ensuring that each student has the opportunity to have that same just wonderful experiences with a wealth of opportunities waiting for them, once they graduate and move on, move out into the world. So I would say that that's my final thought. Thank you.
Thank you, Ashley. And Monita, any final thoughts?
I think that, I mean, we have, as a longtime Laurentian, I mean, we have talked about the student stories, and we are great storytellers. And I will give you anecdote upon anecdote upon anecdote about situations I was in just today, if you would ask. And I think what is really important that is happening right now is we are putting evidence and data behind these stories so that we can make informed decisions about how to continue to transform this experience for students. I mean, I think that we have so many dedicated faculty and staff, and our students are excited about what we are doing. I mean, they don't always know, the day-to-day, the nitty-gritty, but I mean, the direction we're going, they're on board. They want to be heard so that they can improve the experience for future students. And if we continue to tell these stories and back it up with data, and the experiences are changing, we're going to make a difference. We're going to continue to make that Lawrence difference for a long time. And I had to do that. I had to do the Lawrence difference. Sorry. Thanks.
Thank you, Monita. And Shana, I know we went a little over, but as you can see, we're so enthusiastic about this work. It is going to just continue to transform Lawrence and builds on all of the great work that has been going on for so many years. So I turn to you now so that we can take any questions.
So I'm going to direct this first question towards Monita, and it's actually a series of questions, which is going to lead up to the last one. So it starts with, do you do any monitoring of students to reach out to students who have accommodations to see how they're doing in classes, socially, emotionally, etc., and B, whether or not they're using their accommodations? And then really what the end of the question gets to is, can you just talk a little bit more about the alert system that you mentioned and what we are doing to monitor students?
Yeah, so the student accommodation piece, when a student is connected with Joanna Morey, who is our accessibility services specialist, I mean, it's not just about making sure at the beginning of the term they are set with their accommodations. A student can at any point in time put their accommodations in place, but Joanna's got a very specific kind of timeline that she works through with students throughout the term to make sure that she is checking in with them to see if their accommodations are working for them, if they are using them. And then as they prepare for the next term, asking questions, how did that work? What more can we think about in terms of supporting you in your access? So there's a pretty holistic approach to supporting students to success through access. And in terms of early alerts, we have a pretty sophisticated monitoring system, but we rely heavily on people to put information into that system. And faculty partners are incredible sources of that information. They are seeing those students every day. So we ask our faculty periodically to provide that input to us if they see a student who's struggling. Sometimes we're just monitoring generally to see what's going on, but really it's to help identify those students early and often so that we can start working with them to make sure that they are on track. And we have a system to do that. We are going to be transitioning to I think an improved system from that soon, and that will actually help the communication across the university so that faculty members can see that I'm individually working with a student, or that they've had a chance to connect with somebody in residence life about something. You can start to see this frame of the people who are around this student. So that's a really important piece of this, is that we are able to see that whole structure of people who are supporting our individual students. We have an early alerts committee. We meet weekly. There are 9 of us from different divisions around the university who come together and share information we've gathered. If there is a student who, has had a particular struggle, maybe there's a really intense situation with a roommate, or, in the halls themselves, or there's a hospitalization, they've gotten ill over the weekend. I mean, whatever it is, or there's something presenting academically about them. We bring all of those student names in, and then we help each other identify if there are connections in our room with those students. And if not in that room, are there people on those staffs that are connected, and trying to help get that intervention connection made so that the student can get back on track better. If not, if there isn't happen to be a connection yet, we definitely will figure out a way to reach out to those students and try to get them into our spaces so they can start talking about things. I mean, our students are, I think, generationally reluctant to ask for help. And as much as we tell them to ask for help, they don't always know how to ask for help. I had a student in my office a couple months ago who said, I don't know how to ask for help. And I said, actually, you're here. You have already taken that first step in the door. I mean, it was like a transformational moment for them. They really did not realize that just setting foot in our offices and coming in and asking the question was asking for help. So part of it is us working to reframe things for them, but asking for help is a key skill that they can learn while they're here, and it's going to benefit them for their lives. So these early alert features that we have, and I could talk for a long time about the whole system, but really, I mean, it is getting that team together, and it has having a system so that we can see what is going on with the students so we can get in front of it and help them get on track.
Thank you, Monica. Actually, one of the next questions in the Q&A was, my kid has been struggling and won't ask anybody for help. So as a parent, direct them to the Center for Academic Success, and we will put you in touch with the correct resources to help.
And I will validate that they are asking for help.
Great.
Yeah.
Our next question, I'm going to direct this towards President Laurie Carter. So can you please tell us if you're looking into having full-time academic advisors specific to programs and clusters versus faculty advisors?
That is such an interesting question. What we are about to engage in is a process whereby we're really reviewing our entire advising process. Everything we do at Lawrence really has to be steeped in data and best practices. And so we have had a committee of faculty who have worked for a very long time at making revisions to advising, improving advising. I know that this week there are even faculty meetings with students, groups of students about advising. Advising is such a key retention tool, and we are aware of that. And so we want to really be sure that we are using all of the best practices that are available to us, that we have modified those best practices to meet the needs of the Lawrence community. And so that's going to be a process that will take place over the course of the next year in earnest. And I know that I have faculty members who are enthusiastic about engaging in that process. I know that Monica and Ashley can't wait to sink their teeth into discussions about advising. This is a key retention tool, and we're going to see which model works best for Lawrence. Whatever we do here has to be really appropriate for our students and our environment.
Great. I'm not sure who to direct this next question to, so anybody on the panel can jump in. Student support should also include health of the body too. Do we have plans to have more hours and or more nurses and doctors on staff?
I will begin that, and if anyone wants to chime in, they can feel free to do so. We have actually added hours. We just hired some additional staff in the Wellness Center. We will continue to look at what the data tells us our needs are and respond to that in terms of professional counseling. But I cannot stress this enough. Well-being is not something that only happens in the counseling center. We have spiritual life, we have student life, we have res ed, we have Monita's team. We have teams all across the university who are poised to assist our students. Someone may need professional counseling, or they may need someone that they can simply bounce an idea off of. We also have a wellness area that is engaged in physical experiences that may help students be able to unwind and de-stress. So what we are doing is encouraging students to take advantage of all of the opportunities available to them across campus, and all of the people who they can connect with who may be able to help them with ways to manage their stress, to focus on more positive well-being, and to really be able to focus on their education, because that's the goal.
Great. I want to thank Ken for jumping in and answer some of the questions in the Q&A and in the chat. I also want to just address that we had several questions about Residence Life. I directed them towards Amy Eakey, who's our Associate Dean of Students for Residence Life. But maybe President Carter would like to talk about our new staff member, our Dean of Students, who is coming soon.
Our new Dean of Students is actually here, Shana. I saw him today, walked by my office. Yes, we have a new Dean of Students. He has joined the Student Life operation. Chris Clark is on the ground, and from all accounts, and I've heard from students and staff, he is connecting with the community, responding well and responding quickly to some of the issues on campus. I know that I did see a number of Residence Life questions in there. I can tell you that in some of the work that we are doing right now, which is work that is fully supported by the board, we are looking carefully at our student affairs operation to ensure that it is employing best practices in the services and support we are providing to students. Over the course of the next few months, we will really be examining that area, and we'll be making any necessary changes so that our students are as supported as they need to be, particularly now in these very difficult times. So Residence Life is a key area of focus. Many of you may know that I have a background in student affairs and residence life. I've walked through all of our residence halls. We have some work to do, and we know that, but we're doing that work, and we're proud of the work that we have undertaken and the work that we have planned ahead.
Great. Well, thank you all very much. And we've got several great comments in the chat as well, saying impressive and thank you. And we appreciate your enthusiasm. So again, I want to thank everyone for attending our Brighter Together event. Thank you, President Laurie Carter, Ken Anselment, Dr. Ashley Lewis, Dr. Manata Mohammedan Gray from class of 92, and then Cal Husmann for sharing your time and talent with us and your enthusiasm and support for our students. Please join us for our next Brighter Together presentation focused on athletics. We're going to be celebrating athletics. This has been added into the schedule. It'll be on Monday, April 4th at 7 p.m. Central Time, or Lawrence time, as we like to call it. It will feature President Laurie Carter, Director of Athletics Kim Tatro, and Jamie Reeve from the class of 1995, who is our current chair of the Vikings Athletics Advisory Council. To learn more about the Brighter Together webinar event series, please check your email, follow us on Facebook at Lawrence University Alumni, or check out our website at lawrenceuniversity.edu or lawrence.edu/alumni. So until next time, continue to learn, continue to lead, and be the Laurentians that you are, and be the light. Thank you all for attending.
And thank you, Shana.
Thank you.